What does cheese, Cartoon Network, and the extraterrestrial have in common? The answer should be nothing, but there in fact is a connection between these three things. Back in 2007, Cartoon Network aired a month-long special that involved 5 of their current programs on the air, where the central theme had aliens quote-unquote invading them, and for some reason, cheese is involved. And no, I'm not talking about the character of Cheese from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, even though he is involved, and I'll get to all that in a moment. But these 5 shows involved were Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Ed, and Eddy, My Gym Partner's a Monkey, Camp Lazlo, and The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Each one of these shows would have a special episode that involved aliens being brought in to tie this special event together each week, starting on May 4th, 2007, and ending on May 28th. But what makes this more memorable than the event itself is how everything behind the scenes fell apart. The creators of the shows themselves weren't really wanting to be involved, and for a crossover, it can barely be considered that. Today, let's take a look at how these aliens did invade Cartoon Network along with their programs, how they tried to build it up to be something bigger than it was, and what happened that kind of ruined the original vision this event was going for. Time to get invaded. Imagine, if you will, that Cartoon Network had something big planned. They reached out to a select bunch of their shows and told them that they have to make an episode of their show that involves certain criteria. Cartoon Network would then also have flash games made to be involved in this event, with one for each show to tie in on their website, and the bumpers in between programs would introduce 3 other aliens voiced by Jason DeMarco, Tom Kenny, and Ben Amick, as they would serve as the overall invasion of the network. Well, you don't have to imagine that as it happened, but not in the way of something fun and natural, but off the back of a brand deal that caused Cartoon Network to kind of put this all together, albeit not in a smooth and cohesive way, as it feels a lot more thrown together last minute rather than a thoroughly thought out process. To you or I at the time, we'd know no better. It just seemed like a random fun thing the network was doing leading up to Memorial Day, and hey, aliens are cool, right? So then what's the deal with all the cheese? What we do know now is that this was supposed to be a major multiple week event tie-in between Cartoon Network and Kraft Cheese. Apparently, the 2 companies came together with a plan where Kraft would have this big ongoing advertisement for their various cheese-related products, and every single show would follow the theme of having cheese involved in the plot of the episodes. So not only were you just getting your regular dose of cartoons, but you'd be getting subliminally advertised the entire time. But something happened in the production of all of this that led to Kraft pulling back and not wanting to move forward anymore, leaving Cartoon Network stuck with 5 episodes from 5 different shows along with 5 tie-in flash games that all involve aliens wanting cheese and everyone behind the scenes having a bad time making them. We know all of this now thanks to the creators eventually speaking about this, like Maxwell Adams really breaking down the situation. So Cartoon Network moved forward with the concept of tying the shows together still, and thus Cartoon Network Invaded was born.
Moon rocks? Why would you moon rocks?
The first piece of the cheese wheel was Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, with the episode titled Cheese A Go-Go. Yes, this episode does involve the character of Cheese now, where he's running around the streets yelling "gotta go" constantly as Frankie sees this and gets him on the bus to help him get to wherever he's gotta go. But after she's done running the rest of her errands, as they then pick up Mac and Blue after they get out of a movie where they saw a film called Brain-Sucking Aliens from the Moon, which was about an alien invasion where the aliens presumably wanted to suck out some brains. Both Coco and Eduardo get picked up next from their dentist appointment, and Eduardo is tripping off that good stuff and starts mentioning references to the movie that Mac and Blue just saw. At the same time, Blue is flipping through a magazine that is filled with all the fake or over-exaggerated headlines for people who want juicy gossip to read, where he stumbles on a page that says aliens are indeed attacking, and the image attached looks oddly similar to Cheese. And with how Blue is as a character, he now starts thinking that Cheese is one of those aliens, and is here to suck out people's brains, naturally. This leads Blue to bringing Cheese to an observatory in the efforts of trying to contact the rest of the aliens, but ends up getting arrested for taking over the observatory for those alien-related purposes, putting him in a cell with the other characters who have also been arrested for other various shenanigans that happen throughout the episode. And while this feels completely pointless to the event, like, where are the aliens? Blue's meddling in the observatory does end up contacting real aliens that now come to Earth in order to find cheese. Yep, Blue caused the event to start by trying to contact aliens regarding the imaginary friend Cheese, and now the aliens are coming looking for just general Cheese. I feel like just watching the episode you can tell that it may have been another episode completely about the friends running into various problems throughout the city, stressing out Frankie, but had to now rework the idea to involve an alien conspiracy, to now bring in the aliens that will make appearances in the other episodes. But oh well, that's the first entry into the Cartoon Network invaded event. It's an alright episode of Foster's Home on its own, but next we move over to Ed, Edd, and Eddy with the episode The Eds Are Coming. It's a pretty wild episode, especially in comparison to the rest of Ed, Edd, and Eddy as a whole. Starting off with an over-the-top and joyous dream Jimmy is experiencing until it is heavily interrupted by these massive cutting blades dropping from the sky and begin cutting the cul-de-sac out of the ground, taking Sarah up into the sky away from Jimmy, freaking him out even though it was all just a dream apparently. So he's now freaked out, fully believing that aliens can come and truly invade the neighborhood and rip out the cul-de-sac. The poor dude is going through it. Johnny, on the other hand, ends up heading to Rolf's, where his house is emitting a glowing green light that transitions us to Johnny now freaked out over what he is telling the others that he saw, which was him seeing evidence of aliens invading, and of course, Jimmy rises up to believe him while the others don't. Also, Ed is missing, and Double D says that he has a note from Ed stating he's at Rolf's and needs help. Once a glowing green meteor shoots out of Rolf's house and creates a crater in the ground with Ed crawling out of it, the rest of the kids believe the whole alien thing now and try to figure out a way to stop the aliens, suiting up, preparing MacGyvered together weapons and laying out a trap for the aliens outside of Rolf's house, but nothing was what it seemed. Rolf steps out of the house with an octopus on his head stating that he and his relatives are having a traditional celebration that involves them wearing octopuses or squids on their heads. So things are fine, right? No, they're not, as the end of the episode reveals that the cul-de-sac is hooked up to a spaceship carrying the chunk of land into space. Maybe I like it for the fact that it's Ed, Edd, and Eddy and it's one of my favorite shows from my childhood, but in the grand scheme of this event, we still don't see the aliens. There's a lack of cheese urgency here and it's driving me crazy. It may also be the best episode out of these 5 shows, but purely from an entertainment factor. We then move on to the third part of the event with my gym partner's a monkey in the episode That Darn Platypus. Something crashes into an area near the city where it causes a major power outage and cuts out any electricity, and now everyone just walks places and pretends they're still driving, with Adam and his animal friends seeing the main story of a magazine discussing a cul-de-sac being stolen that features the Ed boys on the cover running for their lives as the aliens attack them, which I don't remember that part. And with many of the students at the school already on edge from what is happening, a new student arrives and he's a bit odd, trying to make an impression on everyone as the new kid, as he's constantly making references to possibly being an alien and wanting brain juice. So naturally, it's believed that aliens are real and this new platypus student is an alien. But Adam is the only one to defend him, saying that he is not an alien. But he has to be, right? He's bringing up brain juice, he's acting really suspicious, and he likes cheese. What else could the answer be? Adam fully believes he's an alien though once they're alone, and he transforms in front of him into this odd-looking alien creature, causing Adam to run back to his friends, where the platypus now reveals he was just pulling a prank on them. Brain juice is just the name of some drink and everyone can chill out. And Adam totally didn't see what he just saw back there. It was just these props. But then he later flies away in a spacecraft, so he is probably just an alien who was voiced by Gilbert Gottfried. Rest in peace. I know a lot of people dislike this show. I've never had a real issue with it, and this episode is fine, but at least we got an alien appearance finally, so that's a plus. Part 4 of the event brings us to Camp Lazlo in the dual 11-minute episodes Strange Trout from Outer Space and Cheese Orbs, so it's kind of like a 2-for-1 special. The character Samson from the show ends up getting abducted by aliens right away, and they're all looking for cheese. But Samson serves no purpose for the aliens, so they let him go, as 3 trout show up to the camp as new campers, and Samson sure is suspicious about them. So he grabs some friends as he wants their help in proving that these random new campers that all look alike are actually the aliens. Later, the fish trio end up stealing some cheese slices, some totally not Kraft cheese slices, and then escape from the camp. So I guess they were aliens all along. Or not, they were just some cheese-thieving fish, as the friends Samson had help from are revealed to be the aliens all along. And then they leave to go find some cheese elsewhere. And that ends the first segment of this episode, and now I'm hungry for cheese.
You had to be there.
For the second part of the episode, Cheese Orbs, the camp across the lake is having their annual cheese ball coming up, but one character named Patsy can literally not attend as she has a cheese allergy and is bummed out due to that. Luckily, an invention made by the character Nina that would shield Patsy from any cheese is given to her so she can go, but Patsy destroys it fairly quickly and gets upset about it, blaming Nina for causing this. Nina later on ends up running into the three aliens looking for cheese, and her sadness about losing her friend goes away as she becomes friends with the aliens, having fun with them, explaining what the cheese ball is to them, which of course has them stick around with her, all the while Patsy is trying to apologize to Nina, but she has no interest in going back to that friend group when she has these cool new alien friends. Patsy tried and tried to break through to Nina, but nothing was working, so she needed to do something drastic, like getting to all the cheese at the cheese ball and eating it so she can have an allergic reaction in hopes of her looking like a cooler alien than the others, and that Nina would finally want to hang out with her and be her friend again. The real aliens end up getting mad that the cheese is gone, and that's basically it. I'm just glad that we got the aliens right from the jump in this, or I guess these episodes, and the second episode gave us more time with them, which was nice. But the episodes are okay. They for sure are the most involved when it comes to the event as a whole so far, but I wouldn't say they stand out for being great episodes or anything. They're just fine. Lastly, we have part 5, the big grand finale with the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy moon the moon. Billy ends up finding himself in a cornfield where there are some crop circles, but it's due to the character of Spurg, who likes to beat up corn for whatever reason, and then both of them end up getting abducted by aliens and experimented on. The next day though, things seem pretty fine. Billy is back home seemingly safe and sound, but now all the dairy products are missing, and Billy just tells them that there's some aliens out there that are stealing all the cheese from Earth since there is no more cheese on the moon, and they believe Billy when he shows them the spaceship he stole to make it back home that is now crashed, along with finding a chip in Billy's brain, and that the Spurg character now has a bomb put inside of him. And then the aliens flat out invade, finally bringing the title of the event to its climactic culmination. The army is fighting back against him, and these aliens are sending out other alien creatures down to the surface who can shoot out cheese whiz from their armpits, which I'm not going to get into why the logic of still needing cheese exists when these creatures do, but we'll bring it back up shortly. The group ends up getting captured and taken to the moon, where the aliens are rebuilding and replenishing it with cheese through the dairy products so that they can have a full moon that will turn them into werewolves, and then they can go and eat everyone on Earth. Look, no one said there was going to be legit logic here for this whole event. The story is presented by that Raven character who pops up from time to time, telling the tales of Billy and Mandy, so all of this could literally be nothing more than a made-up story for the in-universe world of the cartoons. The aliens plot is further revealed to then replace all of the humans with cardboard cutouts, so it looks like the aliens never touched the planet in the first place. Seems like a solid plan to me, makes perfect sense. The episode only gets more ridiculous from there as they are then forced to fight to the death in a gladiator-like pit for the aliens' enjoyment. But they escape that, and the aliens end up turning into the werewolves, with Billy getting attacked and hurt by them, so then he turns into a werewolf. Grim then turns the group into dairy-based superheroes, which was Billy's original idea that no one took seriously, and then they defeat the aliens, use the bomb inside Spurg to blow them up for good, and the day is saved. Life moves on for all the characters. Spurg no longer has a head, but lives on to tell the tale of his heroic deed. Mandy and Grim fight among the stars against other aliens, and Billy just stays a werewolf. The craziness of this episode is on par with the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy as a whole. It's weird, things don't often make sense, but you surely will be entertained. We also get the full ending to the Invaded Saga, where the group of aliens discuss the events that took place, where things went wrong, and even show that there are characters in the world of each show that are alien secret operatives, which is pretty funny, but even funnier, they have abducted a character from each show to gain their knowledge by sipping on their brain juice. But it just happens to be that the characters are the less than smart ones from each series, causing the aliens to follow suit in that description. But it's not the only ending. There is in fact an alternate ending to it all. This other ending fixes the logic of armpit cheese whiz just being used to fix the moon, so that's nice to see. But then they become trapped in the cheese, with the only way out having to eat the cheese, as we then get to see that there is the kids next door moon base near them, and inside the numbers 1 through 5 are oblivious to everything happening around them as they're just playing video games, kind of explaining why their show couldn't get a special episode to be a part of the event. But it's just cool to see them get a cameo here, even if it is a cut alternate ending to everything. There are little Easter eggs within the show that try to tie everything together, like this whole running background gimmick of Frankie sending out these gifts that end up in the different various shows, but none of them are all that connected outside of dealing with the aliens and, of course, the cheese. I do appreciate the efforts in adding in the bumpers and these 3 random alien characters to make it feel like the network was being taken over, but the episodes themselves aren't really anything that special, and you kind of feel where the force of having to make these episodes would come in. Being told you have to make something that you have no say in the matter does suck, and it clearly doesn't end up resulting in the best output for the final work. Overall, the event isn't anything special. It never did anything that made it feel like a cohesive event. Like, it's fine, it's harmless, and some of the special episodes are pretty fun, but it felt like Cartoon Network didn't know what to do once Kraft backed out of the deal and just had it come out as is. Maybe Kraft didn't like the armpit cheese stuff or something, but whatever it was, Cartoon Network was invaded. The reasons for it all in each episode were silly, but at the end of the day, it's just fun to feel like all these shows exist alongside one another, much like how the Cartoon Network city bumpers portray them all to. It's a mixed bag of pretty good and but I would love to know how you feel about it, so let me know in the comments. I've been Jordan Fringe, thanks so much for watching, like and subscribe. Later.